back for another lesson. In this section of our Information Systems Management course, we're going to talk about ethics, moral, and the law. Okay, let's get into this. So within the bounds of this particular course, we'll look at, I say, ethics, morals, law, but really going to talk about computer crimes. We're going to get into privacy as well as IP, intellectual property, and all the things associated with that. That's gotten really big in this digital age, as well as digital rights management. So when we think about ethics, let's just get into this. What is ethics? Now, this definition is the science of human duty. I don't have a clue what that means, but let's break it down, though. So really, when we talk about ethics, that's the body of rules of duty built from the science. When we talk about the science, it's a particular study of principles regarding the rules of duty. And really, when we're thinking about ethics, it really comes down to decision making. And the process of making decisions is really more important sometimes than the decision itself. So we hear this all the time. Was that an ethical decision? How was it done? Was this, especially in business now, ethics is huge. Almost any major company you go to, you're going to get some type of ethics training because there is just so much weight on the decision making that went into a decision, the process of making a decision. Was it ethical? And ethical and legal isn't always the same. Something could be technically legal, but it really borderlines on the skew of being unethical. So when we think about ethics, different approaches to ethics. One approach we call it is the deontological or duty-based ethics. Now, what this really the important part of this is right here. This is where the means are more important than the ends. Actually, that's where the examination of the nature of actions and the will of an agent rather than the results. Does the means, how we got there, more important than the ends? Sometimes, you can win a battle, lose the war, right? Another type, like I say, some of these terms, I know you may never hear them again, but just understand, excuse me, the concepts / principles behind them, which is called consequentialist. This is, it's almost a 180 of this. This is where we're concerned about the outcome, the consequence, okay? The ends are more important than the means, meaning that doesn't matter how you got there, doesn't matter how you got the deal done, but we made the deal happen. Relativism, okay? That's where there's basically everything is relative. No rules, no standards exist. You do what's right in your own mind, And so, like I said, it just depends. It's all about context. Well, to me, it felt like the right thing to do. Don't always recommend that because sometimes, depending on where you're working, that can get you in trouble. As well as egoism. You may have not heard this term, but it's really what we deal with a lot today in our society. It's ego. It's a teleological theory of ethics that sets its goals on the benefits of pleasure or the greatest good of oneself alone. And really, this is very, very dangerous, too. When we get into some of these different means or different approaches to ethics. Now, morality. Okay, when we think about morality, a little bit different, right? But all this, again, we're thinking about this not from a theological perspective, but really from an organizational perspective and how we do business, especially from an information systems management perspective, is how we do business. So when we talk about morality, that's the relationship of conformity or non-conformity to a moral standard or a moral rule. Quality of intentions, a character, action. It's it's what's doing the right thing at the right time. Our morals, or it's the quality of an action which renders it good. So our morality has to do with our internal character, our standards, what we live by. So when we think about those two, now we look at law, okay? Because these three things, they work together, but they're not the same. Ethics, morals, and law. Now, law in general, like I say, it's a rule of being or conduct. Okay, it's established by an authority able to enforce its will. Meaning that I can come up with any type of law, but if I can't enforce it, that law isn't as good as the paper it's written on. Like, a law can also be some type of regulation, some type of controlling regulation. So when you think about laws, like I said, they can be universal, they can be particular, written, unwritten, published, secret. It just depends on the environment that you work in. Now, within government, our human government, an organic rule, as like our Constitution or a charter, or that we live by within some type of state, existence of a state, or some type of organized community. Like, so you can have laws, like say, from our federal government, state governments, local principalities, all the way down to your homeowners association that has a set of rules and laws that it's governed by. Like I say, it can be any type of edict, decree, order, whatever it may be, judicial, any type of resolution, all of those with respect to human government. Like I say, now collectively, the whole body of rules relating to a subject or emanated from a source. It could be, written law, English law, the Roman law, laws that deal with real estate, insurance law. So like I say, collectively, within those areas, there are laws that deal with those, divine law. Now, what are some of the sources of law? Law comes from a lot of different places, right? You have natural laws. Okay, this is unwritten law. That's the thing that we call common sense. Everybody should know that. We talk about this sometimes, especially from a theological perspective, with respect to God's laws. Treat others as you'd have them, treat you. Those types of laws that lives in nature, regardless. It wasn't written, specifically by a group of individuals. Constitutional law. So these are founding documents, like our Constitution. Or any country, it has a basis for the law that it's written for. Also treaties. Like I said, now typically those treaties are agreements between sovereign governments, between sovereign entities. That this is how the laws that says how we're going to do business together, on trade, on taxes, on whether we go to war, all those type of things based on treaties. Legislation, now that's something that's usually passed by a Congress, signed by a president. Okay, so now that the Congress passed different type of legislation. As well as a regulation. Regulation, like I said, that's any order issued by any type of executive authority. It could be governmental. It could be within your business where you work. You have regulations that deal specifically with your organization. But that organization has to be able to enforce that and have to have the will and the ability to enforce that. Common law, like I said, that's the court systems that provide those contracts, very similar to treaties. However, this could be between any two parties, not just sovereign types of governments. So laws between those, and many times these are enforced in courts and other places. Policy, that's a rule that an organization makes up for itself. So within an organization, you can have regulations, and also you can have policies. Now, policies many times doesn't carry the same stringency as a regulation. Many times policy, you have local policies where you may have a large company regulation. And then we have standards. Okay, what are standards? Those are rules specifying a degree or a level of excellence to obtain. These are the standards. This is the standard that we expect everyone to operate. A dress code could be some type of a standard. That, in this organization, you will wear a button-down shirt and, khaki pants or whatever it may be. So those are some of the types of law. Now let's look at the relationship between the three of these: ethics, morality, and law. Like I said, they're different, but they work together in any type of organization. So when we think about ethics, all right, governs professional interactions. Meaning, this is how we operate in a professional manner, whether it's from one employee to another to do things ethically, or it could be two departments or intra agencies within a business, or it could be how businesses operate together, or it could be how a business operates with the federal government. Either way, the ethics, it has to do with the professional interactions. Now, morality deals with private or personal interactions, your individual morals, your standards of living. It's really more private, more personal interaction. And law governs societies as a whole. So within your organization, you're going to have all three of these. And as an information systems manager in that role, you will touch each one of these in some fashion, especially with respect to information systems, that things are done ethically, that there's a moral standard, and there are regulations and policies associated with how you're going to operate in that environment. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about computer crimes just in our next video.